Santiago Cordero and Henry Slade nominated for the RPA Player of the Year award. The only club with 2 players to be nominated. Your feelings when you saw the nominations?
Obviously delighted. I mean, really delighted for the lads personally, and as we kind of say with all these selections, and also delighted for the team, because they've got those nominations, yes, based on their individual performances, especially Slade in the international environment as well, but also because they've been playing a successful team that gives them a platform to work from. So for us, it's fantastic news, and again, it's just another one of those little accolades that show that we're kind of heading in the right direction and already kind of at the right end of the game as well.
There's been talk about Nick White getting an inclusion in the Australian World Cup squad. If that was to happen, obviously at some point he would have to leave here and move back to Super Rugby. What do you know about that? Is that going to happen? Do you think he will at the end of his contract next year go back to Australia?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we're fully aware of how it works, and we're fully happy with it, and Nick's got our full blessing. For him to have the opportunity to play for Australia this season, he has to be signed with the Super Rugby team in Australia the following season. So the reality is he's fully contracted with us now and this season, and the season coming. But by signing for let's say an Australian franchise, that allows Australia to pick him now, this season coming, which makes him available for the World Cup. Nick's always wanted to play in the World Cup. It's been a big ambition of his. It's one of those scenarios where, as much as we'd like Nick to stay here long term, he's a very good player for us and done very well. There is a reality that we also think it's part of what we're about, that if we can help someone reignite their career and do well, and very similar to Dean Mum or other players, that we don't want to stand in their way. That's what it's all about. If you come to Exeter and it makes you an international player or reignites your international career, that's exactly what we're here for as a club, and we're certainly not going to stand in the way of anybody's international ambitions.
It must be frustrating though, because you think of the likes of Faf de Klerk and Nick White, and he's at that level, and he's probably one of the top number 9s this season and probably last season as well, and to lose him, I'm not saying he's irreplaceable, but it's not going to be easy to replace a chap like that, is it?
Of course not, but we've done it before and we'll do it again. If you look at, we've had a number of players who you would think would be very hard to replace, and they are hard to replace. Obviously you'd like to keep all your top players and keep adding to it, but that isn't the reality. We've got some very good young scrum halves here. We haven't seen much of Stu Townsend this season. He was going extremely well over the last 2 years. There's a guy who started in a winning Premiership Cup team, so he's pretty good. Obviously Jack Morn has already represented England. His brother looks a real talent. There's 3 scrum halves before we even start talking about the other guys who are here and who can potentially come through, and without us even looking at recruiting anybody else. So we're okay. We'll be fine with it. We'll as we always do, we'll keep our eye on the market. Interested players will become available, but first and foremost we'll look at the form of the young 9s we've got here and see if we start to anticipate that a year's time is the right time for them all to step up and fight it out for the number 1, 2 and 3 spots just on their own.
Do we have any idea which club in Australia Nick might be heading to?
I don't at this stage, but then that's not because of any other reason other than my initial talks were with Michael Checker of what the scenario was, and then beyond that it's not really been of any
it doesn't affect you, I suppose, does it?
It had no effects to us anyway.
Indeed. Let's talk about something which you can affect, and I'm sure you will hope to affect, which is the Saracens game at the weekend. Is this a dress rehearsal for the grand final?
Oh no, I don't think it is in any way. There's so many different circumstances. Neither of us know if we're going to get there, and we've got some very difficult. We're both certainly going to have at least one difficult fixture to get through before we get there. But also, I'm not going to claim that we're going to go into it absolutely full strength, and I'll be very surprised if Saracens do. So I think as far as if we were to play each other again in the final, would it have much bearing? I think probably not. Is it an important game? It is, because it determines a few things. We're still not guaranteed top spot, so you don't know where the seeding lands, or who you might potentially end up playing. And of course, we want to have guys who have some game time into them, and some good game time into them, that we need to see playing this week. And it will be a similar scenario for Saracens. So it's a funny game. It's a different game. Is it a different challenge? Yes. Does that make it exciting? I think in some ways it almost makes it more exciting, because we're probably both looking for some different things out of the game, and there is also the bragging rights that I think Saracens and I both like, and us both like beating each other, and both like playing in some big games. So it's going to be very interesting. And
there's always you've had some humdingers at Allianz Park going down the years as well, haven't you? So it's always an entertaining encounter, if nothing else.
That's right. I mean, they've proved to be as I say, very interesting fixtures. I think we learn a lot from those games, as do Saracens. But as I said, it is what it is. At this stage of the season, it's as much about your preparation, then how you approach each game, then how you move on. It's that balance of what's happening right here and now, what's happening in the future is something that we're quite excited about managing with the players. And I think it feels like now everyone's getting their heads around it. The players and the staff are all getting their heads around what we're expecting from each other day by day and week by week.